Charisse. So Charisse, thanks so much for inviting me here. And thank you everybody for coming and expanding your network, because that's really what it's all about. So a little bit more about me. I came out of 20 years in the corporate world. So like a couple of you, you felt the feel of COVID and you were liberated from a position. I too was liberated from my position about 4 years ago, and that gave me the opportunity to take off and do what I really love to do. And that's help people find their value, help people find their strengths, and do some career coaching, not career coaching, but communication coaching around that. So Spark Leadership Development, what on earth is it and why did we create it? So in my 20-year career at the bank, we operate with people. Who here works with people? Raise your hand. Who here lives with a person? Two. Who encounters a person in your daily basis? Right? So one of the things that I first learned was around DISC. And so who has used some sort of personality profile before? A few of you. All right. DISC is one of the behavioral methods there. So it helps you understand your personality profile. And this was one of the things that helped me early on in my career. So I came up through the corporate ranks. I started on the phone in a call center and then worked my way up through into a senior management role before I left it at Bank of America and wound up working in a global environment. So DISC was a tool that became very helpful for me when I was growing leaders within my team, when I was working with peers and coworkers and business partners, and then externally when I started to network. And so expanding your network is really making more connections. And Charisse and I are a product of that. So as we've both come out of our corporate roles and we made the leap into this entrepreneurial life that we're choosing, networking is simply making connections. It's building a relationship. It's getting to know, like, and trust individuals like Charisse is already talking about. And how does the DISC part of that come into play? It helps you understand a person's behavioral profile. So a D, which is me, I am a high D, is a dominant personality style. So we're ones that are gonna jump in, we're extroverted, we're gonna make sure that tasks are getting done. And I is Charisse, and she's the influencer. She's the one who's gonna greet you at the door. She's gonna make sure that you're feeling comfortable. I also have an S in me. So the S's are more of the team building people. They're the ones that are making sure that everyone's taken care of. Very loyal. I like to say it's the mama or the daddy of the group. We're going to herd you all together. We're going to do the head count if we're on a road trip. And then we have our C's, who are our analysts, who are the ones who are mapping out the plan for us, who are making sure that we're on task, and are making sure that we're not going to get fallen into a pothole. And so as I use this in my groups and with the people that I work with, it helped me to put people in the right roles. It also helps when you're making a connection on how to communicate to that person effectively. So a dominant personality style just loves bullet points. Just the facts, Jack. Where an I and maybe a C likes to give you all the details, and we like to have a lot of conversation. And so in bringing those things to the table, whether you're working with a project manager and you're working to make sure that you're getting everybody moving in the team, if you're in a sales role or a communication role, how to connect with your audience, how to connect with your client, how to connect with your customer. And then the residual of it is how to connect with the most important relationships that you have in your life, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your parents, whether it's your children, significant others, whoever those important people are. So I love to help people understand that and bring that knowledge to the table so that you know yourself first, and then you can have better connections and greater communication with all of those people. And in doing all of that, we eventually have an impact on the community overall. And so that's what I love to do and what I bring. I do it on an individual basis. I also do it in a group basis, and I see a couple of my former clients here as well. So thank you for coming to support. And Charisse, did I miss anything? Anything else you wanted me to cover today?
Just when you have your next session coming up?
We have our next session that's coming up in the middle of August. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to email me and I can send you the information as we get ready to launch it.
Yeah, I speak highly of Diane Sessions. I've taken part in her leadership development courses, and they're amazing. So thank you for that. And the reason why I wanted you here is because job seekers knowing themselves helps them know others, and maybe helps them bridge the gap between employment and unemployment. So
Right.
glad you were able to help, because we know that the work you do helps to make those connections and really kind of spark those jobs and keeps them moving. So next we're gonna have Bonnie. We'll have Bonnie speak, and let me get her slide out. Bonnie Schutz. She's CEO of Tandem Resource Solutions. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to see you all here today. Quick backstory of myself. I don't want to say a corporate reject, but not really. I have, like Diane, 27 plus years in corporate America, climbing the ladders on the administrative side. So from anything from a receptionist to a file clerk to an admin assistant, moved up the ranks to supporting C-level executives, found myself in a position and time of my life where I wanted to do something bigger and better. And so I started a side hustle and created my company while still working full-time back in 2015. And I started my company at the suggestion of a coworker who said, "You have such a passion for administration that I think you could become an administrative recruiter." And I never thought about that, but I said, well, gosh, I guess I probably could. And so we partnered and started this side hustle as recruiters, and she was technical and I was administrative. And it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't. And that was when I started my networking career, as I say. And much like Charisse, I have become a huge networker and have at every chance grown my network wherever I could, because I've now seeing the value. As an administrative support person, there was never a need for me to network. I was always just in the background, supporting executives and doing my thing, making them look good. But in thinking of starting my own business, the first thing I learned from my networking experiences when I talked to people that were entrepreneurial or executive level was that the only way to make my business work, if I wanted my business to work, was to go 100% into it. And so I say my stars aligned a couple of years after I had started the company, and I took the leap. I had the support of my husband, my boss. I actually used a little psychology on my boss to make it a little easier for me to leave. And I told him, I said I was inspired by his entrepreneurialism and how he grew his company, that I wanted to do the same thing. So he had no way to say no to me, and he backed me because I built him up. So I gave him a long 1 month's notice, popped off. I had a partner for a little while. We were just not in the same space. So I took the company in the beginning of 2018, I took on all of it myself. And kind of my purpose here today is to let you know that if you're looking for a job and you're feeling discouraged because there's so many people out there competing for these roles, there are some things you can do in the interim and things that you can do to fill that gap. And you may find that you like it and you'll want to stay that, and you won't want to go back into a traditional position. So what my agency is we have a team of virtual assistants across the U.S. that support clients from entrepreneurs to C-level corporate executives to, to job seekers, that we come in as personal assistants and help you look for jobs. We are so creative with what we can do to support you. And I always say that I sound like I'm like a cell phone company, but we have no long-term commitments and we can do these little one-off projects for you. So that's something on the virtual assistant side, but I also do administrative recruiting. And since that's my passion in admin and where I feel my comfort, I recruit locally in the Denver, Colorado area for in-office positions. But with that being said, that a lot of you are like East Coast and things like that, I have built that network to be huge full of business owners and corporate people, you know, because I never break my relationships with any job, with any ex-boss. So that's another key takeaway today is always connect to everybody you come in contact with. I immediately, when I meet somebody, like I'm going to take all your names right now and I'm going to pop onto LinkedIn after this and I'm going to connect, because you never know who knows who and who knows what. And I will take time to have small conversations to get to know you and what you're looking for. And I'll farm you out to my network, which I know Sharice and Diane would do the same for you. I don't know Elena, but I soon will. So that's kind of what TRS, and that's the nickname for Tandem Resource Solutions, what we can do on that side of the house for you. And of course, if you know of anybody that needs that type of assistance in your network at any given time, please send them my way. We do, to make a little bit of extra cash, we have a referral program. Sharice has sent me some referrals and got, you know, a couple more months worth of Starbucks money from that, you know, so we're happy to take your referrals and reward you for those referrals. Yeah, and then I just can't overemphasize the power of networking and how it has changed me after leaving corporate and never having done it, to see, you know, what an impact it's had on my business and me going forward. Not to mention being secluded and working from home for the last 2 years, not having anybody to talk to, but my poor husband having to hear about my business every day. You know, I have my team, which is great. I have my virtual team, which I love them. And I will say that Kat C on our call today is one of my virtual assistants on my team. So thank you, Kat, for supporting me today and popping in on our call. So that's about it. Is there anything else I missed, Sharice?
Well, I want to know, how can you support someone who wants to do what you did, as far as start that side gig, but maybe lands a full-time role, but has a passion? How can a VA help?
You bet. So yeah, quick thing is, you know, when I went into the world of virtual assistants, I started as one. Now I only support one client as one, but I was under the impression that they were just a virtual secretary, or that this was a call center person sitting in the Philippines or something, you know, but it's so not that. I see there's marketers on this call. Well, it's a gig economy. It's a freelance time right now too, to fill that gap. And virtual assistance is not just secretarial work. It's not just administrative work. There is a lot of people asking for marketers and lead generation, so sales assistants in lead generation. There is call center requests for people to take calls. Virtual assistants do everything under the sun. In fact, on our company website, we list 101 things a VA can do, and the number 101 is just ask. So think outside the box about what you do and what your passions are and what you love, and talk to me. Send me a message. I can help you kind of sculpt that to where you can follow your passion and be a virtual assistant. Kat on my team here is also a solopreneur, so she does her own marketing thing on the side, and I fill the gaps in her available time with my clients. So she works as a third-party contractor for me. You know, so I take all the back end work for her, as far as finding clients, doing the accounting, you know, doing the account management. So where it becomes a benefit for her and a benefit for the client, because then the client can come to me and not, you know, if something's not working, they can come to me and I'm that account manager type person. So, but I love, if you ask her, she's one of my biggest fans, I think, on the team. And, you know, she definitely can attest to the fact that I will help build and sculpt any VA that gives back as well as she does. And anyone and I can definitely talk to you about what you can do to pivot into a virtual role in the interim and see if it might be a long-term thing for you.
Thank you, Bonnie. And also I wanted to mention that there may be some questions or comments in the chat box. At the end, we're going to take some time for a Q&A. So if you have some questions you're jotting down right now about any one of the speakers or anything that's being said today, we're going to have some time at the end of the session to address those. So either write them down, throw them in the chat box, whatever is comfortable for you. And so without further ado, I'd love to have Elena Bruno speak for us next. She's a recruiting coordinator with Amica Mutual Insurance, and she'll tell you all about their amazing opportunities that they have. So Elena, take it away.
Thanks, Charisse, and thank you to my fellow guest speakers today. Unlike you guys, I am still in the corporate realm of things. So I currently work for Amica Mutual Insurance, and we are based out of Lincoln, Rhode Island. As I mentioned before, I am working out of our home office currently. And if you haven't heard of Amica before, we are a personal lines insurance carrier, so providing those homeowner policies. We have a subsidiary in Amica Life, a separate company from ours. But I think, our bread and butter is with the mutual side of things that provides homeowners and automobile policies. So what my role is here is essentially a recruiter. And that means that I want to bring people on into Amica and really kind of express our culture and make an individual excited about joining the company itself. I have been working here for a whopping 28 years. So just celebrated my 28th anniversary with the company July 13th. So not that long ago, thanks. My career has taken me to a few different places. I've worked with a variety of departments over the years, a few different positions, and have been working in this recruiting area of things, or talent acquisition, since 2007. So 13 years now, so quite a while. And last year I actually graduated with my bachelor's degree. So that was something that I pursued a little bit later in life. And we'll kind of see where that takes me in my future. So I am now a proud graduate of the University of Rhode Island. So go Rams. Anyway, so enough about me. What I really want to do is kind of talk to you about maybe some of the positions that are currently available with the company, and maybe some things that are important to me that might be important to you about a company, and just kind of my advice about, job seeking and different things like that. So I guess number one for me would be, what does the company stand for? Essentially the culture. So, that's really what has kind of secured me here with the company and what's made me stay so long. Think about it. We're an insurance company. We don't provide, something that's tangible almost in exchange for the premiums that we take in, right? So we're providing kind of peace of mind, building relationships. It's all kind of webbed into our mission statement. So, what do you rely on for that culture piece of things? And I think it's the people that you meet along the way. I've met some great people along with the years. Certainly being on different teams has changed those individuals, but I've certainly stayed friends with those people that I've met along the way. People have since retired that I'm still friendly with. So building those relationships was something really important to me, which made me seek out a company that kind of had a long-standing backstory, if you will, and it had some stability in the financial world of things too, depending on what the climate is, especially thinking about things right now with the whole COVID pandemic. I'm glad I work for a company such as ours. They've been really flexible with allowing people to work from home. I actually just came back into the office in the first phase of us bringing back employees. And that was back on, I believe it was June 15th. So been here maybe a little over a month. And, there's a small amount of people here, but I think they took it, they took a great approach to it. So essentially asking for volunteers to see who wanted to come back, who felt comfortable coming back, who maybe needed to get out of that home office and come back to a little bit of maybe an escape from that normal kind of routine, and not having to maybe be on all the time in that one same place. So I was glad to have that opportunity to do so. So those are a couple of things that I kind of think about with respect to a company itself. Just a little something to boast ourselves again that they did for us, those that came back to the office. We have a cafeteria here on campus. We're pretty big in Rhode Island, so we've got about typically roughly 1,700 people that work here on campus in Lincoln. We have a cafeteria, which naturally isn't able to be open the way it used to be pre-COVID. So what the company decided to do as a little nice to have is offer us lunch every day. So we can go there, grab a boxed lunch, a variety of things. I'm a vegetarian, so they're able to provide, some different options for us, and kind of welcomed us back here and just made us feel that little kind of amica way, if you will, the way we like to do things. So it was a nice thing to happen, and they've actually continued that. We started our phase 2 of bringing some more people back just on the 13th of July, and then the next grouping will probably come back sometime after Labor Day. So again, we're an insurance company, we're cautious, so we're taking our time and making sure everything's safe for those employees to come back here and making sure they're comfortable. So speaking of employees, what I wanted to do was mention some of the positions that we have available right now. So I took a look at our careers page as of today, probably just a few minutes ago, and we currently have 13 positions available in a variety of areas. And I'm going to briefly go over those. Some might be some that you're, some of those positions might be some that you're interested in, and some might not be. And I'll talk to you about how you can join our talent network and, kind of put in your preferences and take a look at things like that. So we do currently have a few positions here in home office. So out of those 13, there are 7 in home office, 3 of which are in our accounting realm of things. So our accounting department, which is not one of my fortes by any means. So we've got a couple of accounting positions, one as a senior tax accountant, a regular accountant, and then an SQL developer as well. So more on the technical side of things. And then the remaining positions here in home office seem to be on the technical side of things in our corporate information systems department. So basically our IT area, we're looking for a software development engineer in test, a scrum master, an agile coach, a senior IT developer. So a good variety of positions. And then we've also got some positions available nationwide. So we are a nationwide company, and we've got some positions open in kind of the customer service realm of things. So in our California offices, Texas, Illinois, Oregon. So that's where we've got a few positions open there. So my recommendation to you is go ahead and take a look at our careers website. So it's just, it's listed here on the screen, careers.amica.com, and you can take a look at the available positions. You can also click on the button from our website, and it's called Join Our Talent, or Talent Network button, and Join Our Talent Network. And what you're able to do is upload your resume, put your preferences in, and if there isn't something that matches what you're looking for right now, you'll be notified when something does come up. If you say want something in the management level of things and nothing is available in that realm, then the system will notify you when something does become available. Something that Charisse is pretty familiar with is a program that I typically do a lot of hiring for that I haven't mentioned yet, and it's called our Future Leaders Program. Essentially, that's how Charisse and I met when she used to work for Southern New Hampshire University, and kind of connected that way. But what our Future Leaders Program is a management trainee program, and we bring people in 2 different positions, one within the claims division and one within our sales and client services division, more kind of on the underwriting side of things, if you want to talk about maybe complete opposites within the insurance realm. And we bring people and put them through a rigorous training program, and then go ahead and place them into one of our branch offices nationwide. Couple of caveats for that program are bachelor's degrees, as well as their willingness, the candidate's willingness and ability to relocate countrywide. So we are a pretty heavy promote from within company. So we want to be able to bring those people up through the ranks and put them in different places depending on the strategic goals of the company at the time. Right now, we are not currently hiring for this program. We are still having one that we've filled our needs for in October, and those were originally planned for June. So what we did was we had to do a little shifting because of COVID and kind of move things around. So some individuals are starting in October, as well as some individuals starting in January. So in the upcoming weeks, we'll probably be deciding, what our needs are for next year, speaking to the business units and figuring out what those numbers are going to look like and be able to then predict what we're going to need to hire for, when we're going to have classes and things like that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell that I had, Charisse. Anything that I missed?
No, actually, I was hoping you'd talk about the Future Leaders Program. And even though you don't have the class coming up right at this moment, it's definitely, I love that you have the ability to get alerts from N.E.W.S website for when it is coming, because it's a fantastic program. You kind of downplayed some of the things. One of the positions, you start with a vehicle, a company vehicle. Some of the other amazing things that I always sold and love to talk about when I was telling students about your great things, were the fact that, and I don't know if you're still doing this, but the raise increase is amazing at Amica. After 6 months of being on within the Future Leaders Program, you get a 9%, or you did, right? Am I about right with that?
I think it's 8. I think it's an 8% increase. So after you've kind of been there. 8% increase
after 6 months. Okay. So I don't know many jobs that do that. So Elena's being very modest. Amica is an amazing company. They pay great and they take care of their employees. So I would jump on and definitely check out some of the positions that they have to offer. So that was fantastic, Elena. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. So what else? Well, I noticed that we had some folks that were putting some information into the chat box, but also we're not the largest group, so it's okay. We can maybe unmute and maybe ask some questions. Feel free to use your raise hand feature in Zoom if you'd like. And then we can also look at what we have here in the comment section. So if you have a question for one of our speakers, feel free to go ahead and ask away. I will also open up the chat box too to see what people have said. Can everyone see the chat box pretty well? Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. These are just small chats. Okay. I'll see if anyone wants to unmute and ask any questions to our speakers. Don't be shy.
I think something I'd like to mention, because I know there are a variety of people on the call looking for different types of positions, and think outside the box with respect to a variety of companies. You might not think, let's say Amica, for example. You might not think to go look at Amica for an HR position if that's something that you're interested. Excuse me, or maybe a communications position. We've got a big department that handles kind of marketing as well as corporate communications that work on both internal and external projects. So my advice to you job seekers is, to think about those companies that maybe that aren't just specifically focused on that area that you're looking into, but think about those companies that might have those smaller departments in the background that support that kind of front end piece of things. Because I think I think about us that way, that we're customer service forward, so maybe those business units get kind of highlighted more so than the other areas of a company.
Yeah, feel free to unmute and chat. Another thing I'd like to ask Elena actually is when it comes to cover letters, a lot of folks on the call today are, have been affected by the pandemic. Unfortunately, we've got some great talent here. And, it's really difficult today, Elena, to stand out from the crowd. Do you have any suggestions for the individuals on the call about their cover letters or just marketing themselves and positioning themselves as they move forward?
Yeah, definitely. So with respect to a cover letter, what I would say is be specific. Don't talk in generalities about maybe highlighting your experiences. Let's say me, for example, if I talked about my recruiting duties, what I want to do is maybe talk about specific projects that I've worked on. Maybe keep it short, but still specific. So don't have your cover letter be a couple of pages, but point to the things that you are proud that you accomplished in that job that you currently hold or in that last job that you were holding. That could definitely be standouts to those individuals that you're sending it out to.
I actually have a question for Elena Charisse. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or see me right now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Both.
This is Josh. You mentioned earlier the Future Leaders Program, which I know you mentioned is not taking any applicants right now, but in general, I've actually seen some training programs like that online available. Can you paint us a picture of the experience that a trainee would have in a training program like that, like the rigorous training program for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do to get you prepared to do your job is number one, provide all that kind of insurance background piece of
Okay.
things. So go through the insurance policies, make sure you know them from beginning to end. Let's say, for example, the claims position that I typically hire for, it's called an associate adjuster. So what we're going to do is go through the insurance policy itself, and have you be able to, by the end, break it down for an insured, because you're going to be that kind of lifeline, that connection to them when they have a claim, and be able to explain, okay, here are the different pieces of your policies, and these are the ones that are going to apply to this particular loss that you've had, or maybe have to have that tough conversation and be able to explain to them, these are the coverages that you have, and unfortunately this loss isn't covered by these particular pieces. So that's kind of how the policy part of it works. Then we're going to combine that with the computer applications that you need to know how to use to do your job. So what internal pieces do we need to show you that you need to understand to, again, take in the information from that particular customer that you're dealing with, and then go ahead and explain it back to those individuals that you're working with for that piece. And a lot of times we're also going to provide an insurance license. So depending on the state, an insurance license is required depending on what you are doing, and what we want to go ahead and get you prepared for taking that licensing exam. So we're going to incorporate that piece into the training program. And then the remaining parts of it are going to be a lot of job shadowing. So seeing the position that you're going to be in and seeing how that works, but then also seeing those support pieces. So maybe someone who would be your supervisor and how that connection works. And then also seeing those individuals who are on the other part of the support end of things, who will be taking maybe those initial claims calls and then sending that information over to you. And really, as a whole, kind of how that business works and how you as a person and your department that you're working for fit into the company strategically. So that's what we're going to go into. And then, of course, some fun pieces, those culture pieces that fit in. A lot of team building are going to go into that. Team is a big part of it. And as I mentioned earlier, the people part of it is our business. So that's what we're going to incorporate. That's how it works here with us.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question. Thanks, Josh. And we had another question in the chat box, which is, what are, for Elena, I guess, what are some skills maybe that current hires you might be missing or that you like to see in your current hires?
Okay.
Is there a few things that you can add that really help you to make that decision?
Yeah, I would say definitely communication skills is going to make someone stand out, because for any position that we hire here, we're going to need you to work with people, whether that's internally or maybe externally. So you're going to have those communication skills. So any way that, in this kind of break in work for you, if you can attend any workshops and things that might help you explore that piece of things, that'll definitely help you stand out, both written and verbal.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sharice, I wanted to add to what Elena was talking about earlier too, when with the cover letter and those things too, and being specific, especially when, as a former hiring manager, making sure that when you are in there, you're very specific to the role you're applying for. How many times, and Elena, probably you would see it too, we would get the canned response that wasn't even matching the application that you were applying for. And anytime that we saw that, you were kind of immediately eliminated. So just make sure that you're, to Elena's point of being specific, make sure that you're matching the role that you're applying for as well.
I would add to that too, Diane. I
Mm-hmm.
know I've seen a bunch of people use that canned letter, like you said, and then maybe forget to change the company name. So
Oh,
maybe
yes.
they're applying to Liberty Mutual and they sent it to Amica Mutual instead. So that's something
Right.
that's not going to be a great representation. So I would apply
Yes.
that same piece if you had an objective on your resume too.
Right.
Thank you, ladies, for bringing that out. And because I've heard this more than once when coaching folks, I do have a document that if you're hanging on till the end, I'll make sure that I send you, which is called, well, I guess we call it sort of like a human voice kind of cover letter, where you put your why, you show that organization what you know about them right in that cover letter, and why you specifically are looking and targeting that organization. Show your passion for where you want to be and why you want to be at that company. So I'll be sending that out to any folks that want to email me after this session as well, as a resource for attending, and a thank you, of course. Any other questions we have?
Sharice, no question. I just wanted to add something I forgot to mention. I also wanted to just piggyback on Elena and Diane, that I agree completely. When I'm recruiting and I get, especially in this time of day, the year with COVID, with hundreds and hundreds of resumes and cover letters, that's the stuff that's going to make me toss the ones out, and I need something that's going to be thought out, and that's the kind of person I'm going to gravitate towards, not ones that just sends the same cover letter to every job. So I can concur with what they've said. But then my other thing was about networking. Another thing that's worked super well for me in the past, job hunting and everything, which I have been unemployed several times as an admin, is networking within professional associations. So I joined an association for administrative professionals, and I was on the advisory board, and I became a judge, and I'm a community partner now. So just when you find that passion, if you have a passion for marketing, find marketing organizations. They all nowadays are using tools like Slack and Facebook groups to share job opportunities with each other, and to give tips for interviewing and what that they're finding out in their trials and tribulations through the process. So I couldn't recommend more joining professional organizations as well for networking.
Thanks, Bonnie. Something else that we want to consider is something called a happenstance theory, which means also don't just put blinders on and look for a position in one way. Make sure that you get out there and do multiple things, whether it's job shadow, volunteering, connecting like this. You are only 1 or 2 degrees away from your next connection, and it could be made or met anywhere. So make sure you're out there so it can, quote unquote, happen. Want to make sure it does. Thank you guys for using the chat box for throwing some of your connections in. I will be sending everyone that is in attendance the email addresses so we can make sure we all keep in touch and support each other during this time. a lot of people are furloughed, unemployed, and we want to make sure that we connect. And I can't wait to find out what happens too after this discussion, this session, and find out who applies to Amica. You gotta have to tell me if you do. I'll be really curious, or who connects up with Diane or Bonnie. Of course, they'll let me know, and I hope to hear from you guys. And also, we're a small group, but we're a mighty group. If you know other individuals that should be taking advantage of Diane's services, Bonnie's services, Elena's great positions, definitely spread the word. There's lots to be had out here. Will there be another in the future? That's a great question, Jean. Thank you. We're gonna go to the next slide to probably address that. We have a survey that I'll be sending out to kind of find out as far as topics for a future session, whether we should have something quarterly, monthly, whatever, we don't know. But the most important thing is I just want to thank everyone for being here today. And if you do have a reader, you can click on this QR code and go right to the survey, or you can wait for the link that I'll send for you guys to take a brief survey to let me know what you gained from attending, who you may have connected with, or who you want to connect with, or what happens. Curiosity, definitely want. And what I'll do the next time we do have a session, I will definitely shout out what happened from this session currently. So thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciated something that several of the speakers said today is don't just really think outside of the box. That's really important. You never know what opportunities will arise when you look on Amica's website or when you connect with. And I think a few people said, or maybe it was Bonnie, you said, I'm going to connect with everyone on this session. I would recommend everybody on this session get on LinkedIn and connect with one another. Let me see. I think we still have time, and I saw there might have been another comment in the chat, so let me grab it.
Charisse, while you're checking out the chat, I wanted to talk about how you and I met. So to Bonnie's point, networking, joining organizations, Chamber of Commerce is a great place to go to network. There's usually multiples of them. There's usually at least either there's a morning networking opportunity or even an evening networking opportunity. It is filled with people that are in the professional area, that are out there seeking to expand their business or just to make connections. And so that's how Charisse and I actually met, was at a Chamber of Commerce event. And we've blossomed into a great relationship from there. So, you know, if you're uncomfortable with going out and doing that kind of networking, find a buddy. Just find a buddy and then go in and just go and make new friends. That's all you're going to do is make new friends.
I can also speak to that ripple effect. So the way I met Charisse was one of my clients had a business consultant who knew Charisse. So through my client, I met his consultant who introduced me to Charisse, and her and I now partner and collaborate quite often. So the networking is amazing.
And you never know where you're gonna find great connections, because Bonnie's in Denver, different time zone and everything else. And, you know, but it feels like she's right next door. You know, that's one thing pandemic can't take away from us, the ability to connect and network. And we're doing it with platforms like this. And I'm just so happy that everyone took time out to join us for today's session, and look forward to hearing, you know, what news you have from this network education welcome session. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna hang on for just a couple of minutes, but our session is done. I'm gonna stop sharing now and just put everyone on. Can everyone see? Shoot, someone take a picture so we can get the boxes in. Because I don't have my camera around and I wanna make sure.
I got you.
Yeah, if you're able, yeah, thank you, Bonnie. Did you get us?
Yes.
That was fast. Shoot, I didn't even strike a pose yet. Oh, man. Dang.
I'll do a check to make sure we look good.
You can also do a print screen and catch everybody's picture the same way.
Who said that? I love it. Wait. Suzanne's on too now. Wait, I'm gonna hit print screen now. You think that'll work? Oh, wait. I think so.
I had the camera clicked on switch camera, so it was
Can
looking
you-
at the back of my.
Can you do one more for us? Bonnie,
Yeah, I'm gonna do. I like
please.
the print screen idea. I'll do
I
that.
tried it, but I just want to make sure just in case.
I'll do another one from my phone too.
Just in case.
Because
Okay.
I look pretty silly in the other one.
Look at all these boxes. I love it.
Okay, let's try this again. Okay. I've got it.
Thank you. Well,
Bet.
thank you guys so much for joining today.
Take care,
if-
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Elena. It was great to
Thanks.
have you.
Welcome.
Thank you for my
Thank you,
guest
Sharice.
speakers.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
If you have any questions about anyone that talked today or follow up, or you didn't have your question answered, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to connect with anyone. All right. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.